Yeah.
Look at that. What a hell of a freaking catch on the first Twitters.
Got that right.
Anyway, welcome to episode 177 of the F and Marks podcast.
I'm Jay.
And I am the brainless one.
AEW Double or Nothing last weekend. Really good show. We're going to get into that.
Oh, believe me, they definitely doubled or nothing on that one.
Great.
Oh, that was terrible.
I'm
not even proud of that one.
You do what you do.
I'm not even proud of that one.
You do what you do.
I just think it was funny because, like, I remember, like, I think it was their first official pay-per-view they did. Like, not the Double or Nothing, but, like, the one after that where, like, I think it was Jericho and might have been Jericho for the title. Yeah, Jericho and Page and Moxley and Omega, and I went 8 for 8. Yeah, I know for a fact I didn't go 8 for 8.
No, I don't think anybody went perfect in this thing. They did a great job of messing with people.
I loved what they did with the ladder match. That was so unexpected because I know a lot of people were thinking that with the ladder match that the surprise entrant was going to be somebody that had WWE ties, whether it was going to be Rusev or if it was going to be Zack Ryder or if it was going to be, one of the other wrestlers that got released. And they threw the old wool over the eyes to all the fans. And I mean, color me shocked. I was not expecting
Brian Cage
to
making his debut. He had gotten injured like towards the end of his contract with Impact Wrestling and tore his bicep. He was like, well, I guess I'm on the shelf for a little while, and I'm not going to sign with a new company until I'm healthy.
Right.
And he made his shocking debut during the casino
ladder match.
Did they call it like a casino royale ladder match? I think that's what they called it.
Who the hell knows what the hell they're doing anymore?
Either way, I like the fact that they actually had like a poker chip above the ring instead of like a briefcase or something along those lines.
Well, I mean, it was kind of like a play on what Chris Jericho, obviously because Chris Jericho is the brainchild behind the Money in the Bank ladder match. So they couldn't make it too much like that. Obviously, it was basically the same thing. The only difference was, like you said, the poker chip was hanging from the rafters instead of a briefcase. But same thing. The only difference is that who won the ladder match gets an automatic title shot against whoever won the match between Jon Moxley and Brody Lee for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship at Fyter Fest. Which I'm on board with that. A really, really, really good ladder match. I'm not going to lie. It was very well put together. It was well executed.
I know your favorite spots were when the GOAT Orange Cassidy got to spring into action.
Actually, for me, the one thing that I took away the most, the one that I was like, oh my God, when Joey Styles on, was Darby Allin on the top of the ladder with the freaking skateboard, and he completely missed and fell, and I was like, wow. I love that kid.
He's going to kill himself.
I mean, yeah, he's going to probably kill himself, but he's definitely somebody I could see having like a significant run in AEW as a champion. I mean, he's still young. He's only 23 years of age. He is a tremendous character. He's actually a pretty solid in-ring.
He's a daredevil. I mean, he's a new Jeff Hardy. For as much as I know you got misgivings about Jeff Hardy overall, Darby Allin's a bit different of a character, but I mean, the persona is not much different in his that they will do anything and everything in their power with their body to take out their opponent.
He kind of reminds me of like if Daniel Bryan was Jeff Hardy. That's the best way to put it. Because Darby Allin's really not that big of a dude. He's kind of a small dude. So he's kind of built like Daniel Bryan, maybe a little bit smaller than Daniel Bryan, but he's definitely got that Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy.
Win at any cost.
Yeah.
Put your body on the line.
Yes. I'm a fan of the kid.
So
him and Orange Cassidy were two guys that I was very impressed with their performances in the match, and obviously Brian Cage coming out victorious. I was a little surprised. I thought this was Scorpio Sky's opportunity to kind of break away from SVU or SCU.
SVU. I mean, everybody loves Special Victims Unit. That's why Special Victims Unit.
It was like 5 minutes before I finally
before your brain was. Let's see. Hey, that's 4 minutes in 30 seconds. Good job. Hey,
that was 2 weeks ago. That might have been 10 seconds after when it happened. So it was probably at 4 minutes and 20 seconds. So as far as I'm concerned, that's where I fucked up. 4:20.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, the match was tremendous. Kudos to the guys at AEW for putting on a hell of a ladder match.
In general, this whole pay-per-view was balls to the wall, and I don't think there was anything that actually felt unsatisfactory. I mean, the match for the women's title, no DQ match. I mean, I was completely shocked that Hikaru Shida won this thing. But, like, the storytelling involved, and they beat the holy heck out of each other. It was fucking great. And then her winning, I didn't see it. You did, though. You had her winning.
You know why? Because eventually a woman has to win the women's championship for AEW. You know, they had the little 80-something pound Asian, I forget what her name was. I'm sorry. I'm so Riho. Riho was the women's champion before, and then she lost to the dude Nyla Rose, and then Nyla Rose lost to Hikaru Shida. And you know, I'm kind of happy about this. I think that Shida has a chance to be a star for AEW. I think they're definitely now starting to formulate what the women's division is now for them, because now Brooke Baker has kind of developed into a character. I still think she's a bitch, and I don't like her. But, I mean, nevertheless, she's supposed to be a bitch and me, and I'm not supposed to like her and everything. But, like, Chris Statlander, somebody who's definitely...
Statlander, you know, you're working great with the language today.
I am horrible with names.
Speaking of Statlander and speaking of Britt Baker, they were supposed to have a match on this card, but Britt Baker injured her knee.
Yeah, and Penelope Ford ended up taking her spot during Double or Nothing.
Chris Statlander ends up coming out on top in this match, and
a lot of speculation is coming out because people really don't know the severity of Britt Baker's knee injury that she suffered. I think it was
and we'll get into that like when we talk about Dynamite, because they introduced that as part of the storyline. But yeah, it was at some point during the match last week, and like there was a point where it looked like she might be injured, but she kind of like was continuing on.
Yeah,
and then there was a point where like she couldn't go anymore.
And you know, a lot of people are like, it's not as severe, and then I've heard reports like it's going to be out for a long period of time, and I'm like, oh, goodness gracious. I'm like, this is just ridiculous.
But it was interesting what they did on Wednesday, and we'll get into that in a little bit.
A lot of interesting stuff happened on Wednesday, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we got the debut of a new tag team in AEW.
We did.
We'll get into that once we get to actually Dynamite this week. So, what else? What's next on the card?
We got Dustin Rhodes versus Shawn Spears. I mean, I personally thought Spears needed to have a victory, but apparently the higher-ups in AEW did not agree. They agreed with the brainless one here, and Dustin Rhodes won this match.
I like the nostalgia of him actually getting the victory in this one. I mean, you got to give the seasoned veteran a victory here and there, and I know, I mean, a lot of people say that it has to do with what, you know, with Cody Rhodes being one of the executive vice presidents of talent relations and general manager. I'm just kidding. John Laurinaitis. But I wasn't as surprised by Dustin Rhodes' wins.
No, you picked him.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have been surprised. How you doing? What's up, Monsef? Thanks for tuning in. So Dustin Rhodes picking up the victory here over Shawn Spears, and you know, Shawn Spears hopefully has a long career in front of him, and hopefully this is just, you know, part of the building blocks for him to get up.
What's up, Chris?
Chris, thanks for tuning in, man, as always. Appreciate you contributing to the Facebook page. Monsef, whenever you want to start writing for us, man, it's all set up for you. So,
yes.
All right, so Dustin Rhodes beating Shawn Spears. And then we had, and this was part of the pre-show, we had the Best Friends going against Private Party. And Best Friends came out on top. I mean, these guys are like...
Geez, didn't I say the Best Friends were going to win too?
Kind of, sort of. I think you said that it was going to be a double DQ. I mean,
let me see that.
I don't know. I wrote down double DQ. I didn't do it for myself. But anyway, I definitely picked the Best Friends. I mean, I
know
put
it says J and B on there.
It does. All right. Well, I don't know. I guess we're going to have to go back to the tape. So
we'll have to go to instant replay to see what the brainless one said last week.
But you know what? The Best Friends have really been gaining momentum lately.
Yeah.
When they first started AEW, you know, I guess technically a year ago, the Best Friends for probably the first 8 or 9 months were the team that was made to shine every team up. They were there to make them look good, but then they would lose in the process. But finally, AEW has put a little
I'll tell you what really
behind them.
You know what really helped the Best Friends kind of like go a little bit? Yeah. They added Orange Cassidy. They added Orange Cassidy. They all became BFFs, and I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever because like ever since Orange Cassidy has joined the Best Friends, they've been on kind of an upward spiral. So I mean, it's good for them. I'm glad that they're getting the tag team title shot. You know,
and I'm sure it's going to be a great match. I mean, Best Friends have made everybody look good. They're the Dolph Ziggler of the tag team division in AEW.
And I'd still like to bring up that the first SmackDown I've ever went to in my entire life, which was actually my first televised show that wasn't WrestleMania 11 in your house, was at the Mohegan Sun Casino in Uncasville, Connecticut, SmackDown Live. And they actually shot main event before that. And the first person I actually got to witness wrestle at my first televised show was Trent Beretta.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
He actually fought Wade Barrett on main event.
Wade Barrett.
So I always have a spot for whatever weird, strange reason. I will have a spot for Trent Beretta in my heart. But
you know, I think every time you mention Wade Barrett, I'm just going to be like, I'm either going to say John Cena or SummerSlam 2010.
Which is funny, too, because last weekend, Nicole and I were watching the main event of SummerSlam 2010.
Bret Hart looked really damn good.
Yeah, I mean, considering the fact that he was like 900 years old and had 65 strokes. Or he's 65 and has like one or two strokes. But anyway, because I had to explain to her when I said like on the selling scale of Shawn Michaels SummerSlam 05 to John Cena SummerSlam 2010, where does this fit in the thing? And
that's what you know.
Of course. So obviously I showed her I had to show her the Shawn Michaels Hulk Hogan one. That's actually one of my favorite wrestling matches of all time. I fucking love that shit. Just because
SummerSlam 2011. Huh? Okay.
What was SummerSlam 2011?
Monsef is saying that was SummerSlam 2011. I'm almost 100% sure
it was 2010 because The Miz had the Money in the Bank briefcase, and he came out because he was supposed to be the 7th member. Because they were trying to convince The Miz to join, and Daniel Bryan ended up getting the spot. It was 2010. I bet my life on it.
Okay. Stand by. Keep going.
But for me, it's just watching SummerSlam 2010 just really just irks me. I mean, obviously they told a story, and it was a terrible story that they told. And John Cena was in a 2-1 disadvantage, got freaking DDT'd on the pavement.
It was 2010.
Score 1 for the good guy. Hey, yo. No, you're good, Monsef, man. For whatever reason, there's certain ones that I stick out. Like, I know for a fact WrestleMania 11 was one of the worst WrestleManias of all time. I was there. And it was in March of 2000. I'm sorry, in March of 1995. Yeah. It was March 29th or some shit like that. I don't remember exactly what day. Or it was beginning of April. I don't remember. But I remember it was 95.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, I just thinking about SummerSlam 2010 just makes me just want to throw up all over myself. Because it was stupid WWE booking back then. I mean, there's been plenty of times where there's been stupid booking WWE-wise over the years. But anyway, to get back on the point. But yeah, the Best Friends came out on top. They are now the #1 contenders for the Tag Team Championships. Congratulations to them. I'm curious to see what they do going forward. Obviously, in the Stadium Stampede, we got a little bit of a better, clearer picture of what's going on with Kenny Omega and the pride of the Commonwealth
of Virginia,
Hangman Page. But we'll divulge into that a little bit as we progress into the pay-per-view and everything.
So we have a couple of things that we're going to get into in a bit. Andy and Aaron, Sheamus and Jeff Hardy, that storyline, and Daniel Bryan versus AJ for the Intercontinental title. We'll get into that in a little bit.
Yes.
So we had MJF going against Jungle Boy here.
This was the match in the card that you could have literally took out a quarter and flipped it and picked the winner, and that's how I could have seen it going either way.
See, for me, to me it was clear MJF was going to win this match, and they've been building this guy up ever since the beginning. Jungle Boy, not so much. Jungle Boy, again, was a dude who was in there and looked good against everybody. He had that match against Jericho where Jericho was like, you can't last 10 minutes with me. And, they had a really, really, really good match for the 10 minutes they had on Dynamite. Mm-hmm. But they kept on having Jungle Boy do things like that and or lose matches, but look good at losing. So
better than Marco Stunt. But I'm a fan of Jack Perry. I think he has a very bright future. He is still extremely young. I think he's 21 or 22 years of age.
This was one thing that they brought up a bunch during this match is that MJF is 24 and Jungle Boy Jack Perry is 22.
Yes.
So both of them are really young, and the sky's the limit with them. But they've invested more time and effort into MJF, specifically that Cody storyline.
He's the future of professional wrestling. I don't care what anybody says. He right now is the biggest heel in all professional wrestling. He is a tremendous speaker on the microphone. He is actually really good in the ring. He's got a great character. People hate this guy. I fucking love the guy, but people just genuinely hate him. And he just, even when he's not in the ring, he's trying to get heat from fans, which is incredible. That with that and everything. So
I love that Andy has said that he thinks MJF is the next Michael Wall Street. Anybody who pulls out the Michael Wall Street reference is going to get they're going to get a fist pump from me. Michael Wall Street debuted at Clash of the Champions 13 with a very, very nice looking Alexandra York and the head of the York Foundation.
To be fair, it was a repackaged Mike Rotunda who was Michael Wall Street in that match. Mike Rotunda actually has had matches before that. He was part of the...
But not Michael... Hey, Michael Wall Street, that's when he debuted.
I don't consider, when The Fiend came out at SummerSlam, last SummerSlam, I didn't consider that as in, The Fiend debuting, because Bray Wyatt had already...
The thing that's different about this is that Rotunda was away from WCW for a little while at WWF. Yep. He came back as a new character.
But it'd be the same thing as when Husky Harris came back as Bray Wyatt. I didn't see it as...
Did Husky Harris ever go to TNA?
No, he went back down to NXT.
That's what I'm saying.
But technically...
Mike Rotunda went to WWF and then came back as Michael Wall Street. And then when they brought up that he was Michael Wall Street, he got or Mike Rotunda, he got pissed off. It's the debut of Michael Wall Street. Clash of the Champions 13.
Anytime you
check out that show.
Anytime you can give a rub to fucking Clash 13.
Clash 13.
Because I'll tell you right now.
13.
Let me tell you something right now. If it was anybody else who came out during any other show in the history of mankind, even though they've been in the wrestling industry for years, Jay wouldn't have freaking just absolutely obliterated my whole opinion on that.
Yes.
But because of the fact that it was Michael Wall Street that debuted at Clash 13, he's
against primetime Brian Lee in one of the greatest matches ever. Was it? No, wait. No, Tom Zink was
primetime Brian Lee. He fought against the Blue Blazer knockoff.
Yeah. The dude in the red
Blazer.
Yeah.
Sun Blazer.
Star Blazer. Yep. Star Blazer. Good stuff.
You would think that I wouldn't mess that up considering the fact that I've seen Clash 13 more than any other wrestling show other than maybe WrestleMania 3, 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I get your point, but I need to bring up Clash 13.
You need to just absolutely just Clash Champions 13 me to...
Hey, everybody out there watching right now, if you want to see the worst wrestling show ever, watch Clash of the Champions 13. It like the first couple matches are pretty good, and then it goes off a fucking cliff. It is such a shit show.
You understand if we keep doing this on a week-to-week basis, that I'm going to end up watching it like tonight.
I might watch it. Well, my parents won't like watching it, so I won't watch it with them. But
yeah, good point.
Yeah. So anyway, apparently Bray Wyatt is taking a month off because JoJo gave birth.
I don't even like. I saw the name of the child, and I wanted to ram my head into the wall.
Hey, you know what? Congratulations on them.
Congratulations to them.
Jose Offerman.
Don't ever say those words in my presence again. Jose Offerman is the second biggest piece of shit that has ever played baseball. In my opinion, I think he's actually worse than Pete Rose. Because to me, the only bigger piece of shit in baseball history is Manny Machado. Wow, I am just killing you names right now.
You're drinking Monster. You're not even drinking a Colt 45, man.
There may or may not be vodka in this thing.
Yeah.
I kind of wish there was, because it would give me a better reasonable explanation for the fact that I am obliterating everybody's name right now.
Great. All right. So back to AEW Dynamite. So we have Cody Rhodes going against Lance Archer for the TNT Dynamite title.
See, for me, the Cody Rhodes going over on Lance Archer at Double or Nothing was the most WWE booking match that didn't happen. Because for me, if it was Vince McMahon, we all know that Lance Archer would have walked out with that title. He would have buried Cody Rhodes in 45 seconds if Vince McMahon had his way. So I'm actually really glad that Cody got the TNT title. Obviously, this whole thing, like, he never gets a shot at the AEW World Heavyweight title. You know that's going to come to an end at some point. That man is going to hold that championship. That is his company. That's part of his company. As his championship, he's going to hold that belt. And I'd be okay with Cody Rhodes holding that title as long as that fucking douchebag that wrestles blow-up dolls and 9-year-old Chinese girls doesn't win the fucking AEW World title. He is a disgrace to the wrestling industry.
I was surprised, honestly, that Cody won this match. You know, they built up Archer so much to be kind of like this unstoppable force. They brought in Mike Tyson to be a thing for this. And I just thought that it wouldn't be good for Lance Archer's character that you build him up only for a couple of months to be this unstoppable monster only to be stopped so quickly. I know it's Cody Rhodes, and I've said this many times. I think Cody is the most over guy in AEW, and I don't even think it's close for who's close to him. I know you think Moxley is more over, or at least close to as over as him, but I think like when the audience is there, they react, at least in my view, more loudly to Cody. So, but you know, I'm not upset with Cody being champion. I just think they could have taken care of Archer better. So, I mean, I know that he ate like 3 or 4 crossroads and, you know, they beat the hell out of each other. And one thing that I'll definitely say for AEW, especially Double or Nothing, that there was a lot of leeway for the matches, even if they weren't no DQ matches.
Right.
So.
Let them wrestle. Let them wrestle. Let them wrestle.
That's a little vague. Brainless one. Care to elaborate? Talking about your love for the Omega.
Who's asking?
Have the Young Bucks held any gold in AEW? They have not. They've had a shot at the tag titles, but I don't think they've held them.
Young Bucks?
Yeah. The Bucks of Youth.
The Bucks of Youth have not won the AEW Tag Team Championships. The first tag team was SCU. In fact, SCU only lost it to Hangman Page and Kenny Omega. There's only been 2 tag team champions in AEW. There's been 2 world heavyweight champions in AEW. There's only been 1, obviously, TNT champion in AEW. And we're already on our 3rd different women's champions, you know, in less than a year. So that's borderline WWE booking if I've ever seen it. But then again, I don't think WWE would ever make a man the women's champion.
Right.
But that's nevertheless, unless Santino won it. Obviously, my whole reasoning behind my, I guess, affinity towards Kenny Omega is because I just don't see it. Yeah, he's a really good in-ring performer. I'll give him that. Other than that, he's not really much of a good character. He's got Christian Cage syndrome.
Explain to people what Christian Cage
syndrome is. This Christian is, in my opinion, one of the most, if not the most underrated wrestler in the history of professional wrestling. Vince McMahon never wanted to give Christian his chance and opportunity to be a star, even though he had the in-ring ability to be a star. Christian has a dirt face, which means he just kind of just looks like a doofus when he's in the ring. And I'm convinced that's the reason why Vince McMahon never pushed him to the moon. Kenny Omega also has dirt face. Bayley also has dirt face, but because of the fact that she's related to Peyton and Eli Manning, she gets all the opportunities.
All right, Monsef, why'd they call it the TNT Championship? Quite simply because it's on TNT, and when they first announced it, I was pretty sure that this more or less was their version of the television title, and they didn't want to call it the television title. But if you call it the TNT title, that's the station it's on. So, and that was one of the things that Cody ended up bringing up after his victory on Wednesday. But we'll get into that a little bit more when we get into Dynamite in a couple of minutes. But part of the end of this was Jake the Snake Roberts was about to come out with the snake. And
that's what she said.
But Mike Tyson ended up
laying out,
holding him up, and like, come on. Mike Tyson showing off that he's all, jacked up and in shape again. And but he also had a bit on Dynamite on Wednesday, and we'll get into that too. But Tyson played his part. The TNT Championship that they showed on Saturday was a shit bomb. It does not look good. It did not look good. And they were explaining during the broadcast how because of the coronavirus, it slowed down the production of the title and that it would be ready for Wednesday.
Right.
I'm going to say it was not a huge improvement in my view come Wednesday, but but when Shivani and like Jim Ross and Excalibur are like, oh, look at that great title. It's it's going to be even better when it's finished on Wednesday. It's like going. It was like when Paulie Dangerously was trying to sell the Black Scorpion in Clash 13. There's only so much you can shine up a turd.
Look, you could take a bunch of sparkles, put a bow on it. You can take a turd, cover it in sparkles, and throw a bow on it. Guess what? At the end of the day, it's still a turd.
Yeah.
I thought I kind of laughed about that. The whole TNT title not even being done for the pay-per-view, and then it wasn't even done for Dynamite on Wednesday. Yeah. They kind of had it done. It was either yesterday or the day before, and then they posted it on Instagram, and I'm like, it still looks like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Have I sugarcoated since we started this podcast?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
But beyond that, there are some interesting things with Mike Tyson when it comes to in-ring stuff.
Yeah.
One of which is it's rumored that he may have a match, and I'm going to guess against a member of the Inner Circle at Fyter Fest. There's also things out there saying that he is going to have a boxing match. Supposedly, like there's one agreed to with Tyson Fury, but there's also things out there saying he's agreed to a match against Tito Ortiz. The dude's 53 years old. How many matches does he have in him?
All of them.
Is he going to do MMA? Is he going to be doing boxing? Is he going to do professional wrestling? Is he going to do all of them? I believe he'll do all of them.
I do. It's Mike Tyson, and money needs to be involved. And speaking of Mike Tyson and money,
Mike Tyson actually said he's going to donate the money that he makes from whatever fight he does.
Here's a question for you: how much money would it take for you to get punched in the face by Mike Tyson?
I don't know if I'd take that. Because I don't know if you saw his workout video. Even other professional boxers out there are like going, the last thing to go from a boxer is their punch. And when you see how fast the dude can still move, obviously he still knows the technique of how to hit people. No thanks. I mean, he knocked out people that are like double my size, like with a punch.
He punched Steve-O, though.
Yeah?
And Steve-O lived to tell about it. I think he punched Steve-O so hard that he cleaned he's now sober. But if Steve-O could do it, I think for the right price, I would do it. I would say maybe $10 million. I'd have to get paid $10 million to take a punch from Mike Tyson. So if they can come up with if you guys can come up with $10 million and can get Mike Tyson on this
podcast.
Jesus Christ, do I have CTE or something? I can't figure this out. This is terrible.
Beyond that, Mike Tyson did a Super Bowl commercial for a local/regional place around here. And it was just basically because one of his sons actually worked for the place, but a place called Michael and Son.
Yes, I've heard.
And Mike Tyson did
Michael and Son,
the Michael and Son commercial so if he's willing and able to do that for a local place, maybe he'd be doing it for the right price for us. Maybe $10 million would be.
And why us? Is it because of the fact that we are the fastest growing podcast and two guys that talk about professional wrestling?
And sometimes
drink 40s of Colt 45, where if the 40 don't get you, the 5 will?
Yeah.
Because it's not just a gimmick?
It's a lifestyle. Yeah. So, what they referred to as a twin main event, the first of which was Jon Moxley going against Brody Lee. These guys put on a hell of a match. It was, a great little brawl. I don't remember there being a no DQ as part of the stipulation for this, but there was definitely a lot of liberties as far as what the rules of the match were.
Yep.
But again, as you were saying before, let them fight.
Let them wrestle.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Moxley going over was not a big surprise to me. I just thought it was really interesting that Brody Lee was the next one in line to face Moxley for the title not too long after making his debut. And it's like you're trying to build up
Marco Stunt.
Yeah, and it's like you're trying to build up Brody Lee as this powerhouse and as the leader of the Dark Order. And I didn't think he deserved the shot, but I get why they did it.
I think in part with this was the Brody Lee would have gotten more matches in had it not been for the coronavirus, but this was probably this was what they were planning for, and they're like going, all right, well, we can't do exactly what we want, but I agree with you. They were talking about how wins and losses are supposed to matter, and again, when he got his title shot, he had beaten Marco Stunt.
And a bunch of local competitors.
No, at that point, he had just beaten Marco Stunt, and then he attacked Moxley, and then he asked Moxley for a title shot, and then Moxley said yes, and then he beat local competitors.
Wait, so what you're telling me is that if I go and I beat the shit out of Marco Stunt...
What's up, Jessica?
So you're telling me if I go beat the shit out of Marco Stunt...
And then beat up Jon Moxley.
And then go after Jon Moxley, I will become #1 contender for the AEW World Heavyweight title? We got to make this happen.
All right. Go down to Florida. Take him out. Take him out.
What are they going to do? They're going to sick the Jaguars after me? The saddest franchise in the NFL because they can't do dick.
Hey, they almost made it to the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Well, they didn't, did they?
Yes, they lost to the Patriots, and they were up by 8 points with I think around 6 minutes left.
I thought it was more. I thought it was longer than that.
No, it was only a couple of years ago.
Huh.
They had that sick defense, and then Blake Bortles ended up.
Oh, that's right, Blake Bortles. Does anybody even know where Blake Bortles is anymore?
Nobody has seen him since that Rough and Rowdy appearance he had, where our boy got his ass kicked.
Yeah.
So,
it'll be interesting to see what happens now. Obviously, with what they did with the ladder match and having Brian Cage.
That's very interesting. Somebody's putting out a theory that Brody Lee really is not the chosen one. He is a false prophet, and that perhaps EC3 is the true chosen one. That would be interesting. Earl, he's saying Jets. Yeah, he's saying,
I can't argue with that one. I mean, if you think about it, the Jets lucked themselves into their one Super Bowl because they beat a Colts team with their backup quarterback in Super Bowl III, and Joe Namath got lucky, and that's the only reason Joe Namath is in the NFL Hall of Fame. I could go on and on about the Jets. Anytime you all want to come out and talk about the Jets, I'll talk about the Jets. I fucking hate the Jets. There's only 2 franchises in the NFL I hate more than the Jets, and one of them is the Cowboys. I don't even think I hate the Patriots anymore as much. I mean, I hate Robert Kraft.
Wait, did you see that headline this week about Robert Kraft?
Happy endings for the NFL, thanks to Robert Kraft. Yeah, of course. Yeah, let's talk about your happy endings, Robert Kraft. How we kind of just swept that under the rug.
No, I think he won. I think he won that case. Because he won the case, they're like going, oh.
That's because they like, we're not going to get into this.
Anyway.
This right now. But in the other part of the main event, we got the Inner Circle going up against the Elite, which is an interesting looking Elite because it's Hangman Page, it's Mr. Overrated Omega, it's Matt and Nat and Jack or Jeff or whatever the hell it is, Jackson,
the Bucks of Youth,
Nick and Matt. I know I'm just being an asshole, and the infamous Broken Matt Hardy.
In this match, we saw several versions of Matt Hardy appear.
I love the fact that Hangman Page came out on a horse. That was fucking awesome. The match itself wasn't. I mean, it was enjoyable.
I was entertained as heck. I was more entertained than I was by the Money in the Bank matches.
Yeah.
There was a lot of gimmicky stuff. There was some stuff that was silly, but the silliness in what have you, like
Jessica, we're actually going to get into that at some point. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. We'll get into that when we get into the SmackDown talk. But overall, I was entertained by it. The Northern Lights suplex stuff across the entire stadium was a bit much, but still entertaining.
I love the fact that the Inner Circle had matching jerseys
and helmets on. And apparently Jake Hager can get smashed in the head by about 200 bottles and still be okay.
He's a former football player, too.
Yeah.
He played at Oklahoma, right?
Oklahoma.
He's an all-American.
But one thing I'm going to say about this match that did not go well for me was a man named Excalibur. Excalibur, at the beginning of this match, I forgot who it was, but somebody, I think it was one of the Bucks of Youth, gave a suplex to a member of the Inner Circle onto the field. And what does Excalibur do to sell this? Oh, he's just landing on turf. It doesn't hurt. He said that. He actually fucking said that. Even David Otunga wouldn't say that. And he was the worst announcer in WWE history. Excalibur literally said it wouldn't hurt because he landed on turf. Your job as a fucking announcer is to make it sound like this is the most, brutal thing you've ever seen. And he did the exact opposite. What a fucking idiot. Why is this guy still in the booth? You figured at this point that maybe he would start, making some improvement. No, he just fucking sucks.
We said this you said it a year ago. Oh, let's give Excalibur some time in the booth, and we'll see what happens. And then they brought in Tony Schiavone, and you added a goat with another goat and a fucking retard in a mask.
Well, and what was the other dude that they used to have? The other dude.
Oh, fuck, I don't remember the other dude.
He's terrible.
He's been gone so long that I forgot his name.
But Excalibur, not only did he do that, but then they were joking around going, oh, well, there's 10 men. It'll take 20 cameras to fill this. Apparently a producer says into their ear, oh, well, we have 18. What does Excalibur do? He announces, oh, well, we have 18 cameras. And then Jim Ross, his way of just fucking going, are you fucking kidding me? He's like, Jim Ross goes going, yeah, I wouldn't say that. Literally on commentary because Jim Ross was obviously so pissed off, dude, they tell us they have 18 cameras, don't say it. How retarded was it? Excalibur, oh my God, dude, you have not gotten any better. You've gotten worse.
Which is physically impossible when you are the worst. You can't get any worse than the worst, and you're the worst.
Yeah.
He's like Scott Norton when he was in the NWO. He doesn't serve a purpose. Sorry.
Right.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I did want to mention on this before we move on to our next topic. James G. Cornet, for whatever reason, James G. Cornet just seems to be the guy. Like, it's like you want the old man yelling at a cloud situation, you go to James G. Cornet now. So James G. Cornet came out this week and said that he apologized. This was the shocking part. He apologized to Vince Russo for all the negative things he said about Vince Russo for him booking the Brawl for All and saying that the Stadium Stampede was the worst match he has ever seen in his entire life. He said that the Stadium Stampede was basically Money in the Bank like WWE did, except for without all of the theatrics and all the great camera angles that they can use, because they have, obviously WWE pays a shit ton of money for the better cameras and stuff like that. And that he has never witnessed anything like that. He felt sorry for Matt Hardy and all of the other wrestlers in the match and said that he was disgusted by what he saw, as this is now officially the worst match he has ever seen. I just want to know, Cornet.
Has he seen Nails versus...
I was just about to say that. Has James E. Cornet seen Nails versus El Gigante? That's what I want to know.
I'm going to say he probably hasn't, and I would ask him also, has he seen the Great Khali versus Batista in the Punjabi prison match? Two of the biggest stinkers in the world, or Charmel.
It's like, you know what I'm going to say. You already know. It's like we share the same brain on stupid matches. Or Primetime Brian Lee versus Tom Zink. There you go. There. I got
it. Watch Clash 13. Watch Clash 13.
There's got to be a way that we can get like a flag that says Clash of the Champions 13, and we can post that in the wall instead of saying Austin 3. Oh, sorry, Stone Cold and the what?
Stone Cold. Yeah, yeah. You know, James E. Cornet. Like, I don't. At this point, I almost feel like I don't even want to bring him up anymore.
It's just fun too, though. And the funny thing is that this week he's not for me he's not a bad or a brainless this week. He actually avoided that thing because SmackDown happened last night.
Yeah,
and I feel like something happened on SmackDown last week because we did the show on Friday, and I was like, this is kind of brainless. It was probably the fact that Jeff Hardy went over on Sheamus, and of course I think that Sheamus not winning the Intercontinental title is brainless. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it's because of the fact that I have a hatred towards Jeff Hardy. And, oh, no, lo and behold, Vince McMahon, hey, you know what? We still got one more night before the podcast. I'm going to prove to you that you can have a new fucking brainless for this week.
But, so the Elite goes over here. I was surprised just because I thought that this was finally going to be when Hangman Page was going to make his turn against the Elite, but he didn't. But, there are a lot of really cool moments here, like when one of the Bucks of Youth ended up doing the backflip off of the goalpost. That was fucking great. Every Ramona wrestling match, every match, Eva Marie match.
I was about to say that match that she had with what the hell? I can't. Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan's gotten a hell of a lot better in the ring. Yeah. Side note, but that was actually the only watchable Lana match was the fact that she got her ass kicked by Liv Morgan, right? Who has gotten, for whatever reason, 100 times better in the ring, and good for her and everything. But the whole Eva Marie 2016 bullshit is on that category for me. Basically, any Great Khali match, period, should be on that list. Great Khali can't fucking wrestle. It's like when I asked the Solid Monster who would win a match between the Great Khali and El Gigante. And he said, I'll tell you who wouldn't win, the fans. But, yeah. I wasn't as surprised as you were that the Elite...
No, you picked them.
That won that match. It just seemed like... it seemed like that's what they were going to do. Although, if they had turned Page, I wouldn't have been shocked.
Especially if he had stampede the horse on somebody.
Kenny Omega.
Right.
And somehow Dave Meltzer would have given that 85.5 stars. And then they moved it to the Tokyo Dome, and it would have been 309.5 stars.
But in this match here, though, we had a lot of little fun gimmicky stuff where they got to the pool of the arena and they kept on dunking Matt Hardy, and the different versions of Matt Hardy came out. Matt Hardy version 1 came out. Broken Matt Hardy came out. We had Neo, who I don't know if it's a rebirth of Vanguard 1 or if it's just a new thing, but Neo now part of the Elite 2 apparently. But lots of cool stuff with this stuff. This match and them using the different props in the arena between the Jaguar head. There seemed to be a broom around every corner, but it's a stadium. It needs to get picked up, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Should we get into Dynamite then? Might as well just.
What's up, Ben? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, let's hit up with AEW Dynamite. So, started off the show with Broken Matt Hardy and the Bucks of Youth going against Joey Janela and the Private Party, which to me was like a little bit of a strange pairing. But they actually worked really well together. They had a good solid match. But what this was doing was setting up other things.
What's up, Gags the Clown?
Gags the Clown tuning in. Thanks for tuning in, Eric. Always a pleasure to have you aboard. So what they had with this match is like Butcher and Blade were out there, and Butcher and Blade caused some distraction. Ended up after the match was over, they attacked the Young Bucks, but this was all a setup for the debut of FTR,
or the Revolt was another name that they're going by,
and
they go hard all day and night.
And in case you need to remember their new names, Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood.
How fucking not remember? How the hell am I supposed to remember that?
Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood. So, obviously setting up for Butcher and Blade versus FTR. But also with this, there was a stare down between the Bucks and the Revolt here. Obviously, we're going to get that match at some point. I'm going to guess Fyter Fest, and I think in the next couple of weeks, we're going to get Butcher and Blade versus Wheeler and Harwood. And you know what?
I don't care what they are called in this thing. They are going to be the Revival, at least for another 6 months until I can remember the Revolt or FTR or whatever it is. And they're still going to be Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder to me.
Instead of Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood.
Until I could figure this out. Until I could get a brain up in this brainless.
Like Eric and Ibar, it took a little while for me to get after.
I don't care. They're still Rowan and Hanson to me. Don't give me that fucking Eric and Ivar, and they're the freaking Viking Experience or the Viking Raiders.
At least it took them 5 weeks to come up with 4 different names for the Viking Raiders before they landed on it.
Kind of like me with coming up with the brainless one.
Right. So, good stuff. And if this is your first time tuning into the F and Marks podcast, make sure you like, subscribe, and all that on all our different social media platforms, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, Instagram, YouTube. Just look us up at the FNMARKS, and we are doing our show live on the Wrestling Marks page. We partnered with them.
Facebook.com/WrestleMarks.
And whenever we go live, make sure you set the notifications to inform you when we are live, so you can tune in and we could just chat some wrestling. So. All right.
Well, Eric, tell her happy birthday from the F and Marks.
Yes.
That's cool that you popped in. We always appreciate whenever you do pop in. I hope you enjoy your time with your mom for her birthday and enjoy yourself.
Yeah. All right. Booyah. All right. So then we had Brian Cage, who debuted at Double or Nothing, going against Lee Johnson. Lee Johnson has gotten destroyed by a lot of people, and he got destroyed once again by Brian Cage. Brian Cage, it's officially announced he is going to be going against Jon Moxley at Fyter Fest. And, at the end of this match, after poor Lee Johnson got destroyed, Taz, who is the manager of Brian Cage, came out, cut a promo against Moxley, and I didn't quite get this line. It doesn't quite make sense for me, but he says this to Moxley: beat him if you can, survive if he lets you.
Hold on. Let me get my brain wrapped around this. Might be here a while.
Survive if he lets you. It's like going, all right, you're going to beat him if you can, so you might beat him, but he's going to kill you after the match.
It's Taz.
So I didn't think it was a great line. But
where is he from? He's from New York, isn't he?
Yeah, he's from. I think he's from Brooklyn.
Island or Brooklyn.
I think he's from Brooklyn.
That explains everything. I don't know what it is about like New Yorkers, because like between Taz and Big Cass,
you know what?
They have like the intelligence of a fruit fly.
What
to describe you, and I'm gonna spell
what
it
about
out.
Bully Ray? He's from New York.
Bully Ray is a goat.
But you're saying everybody from New York City. He's from New York City.
Maybe he's from a different part of New York. You ever think about that?
Hell's Kitchen.
Do you think it's fair that people are like, well, you look at the brainless one, that just proves that everybody from Bristol is brainless?
That'd be wrong.
You right there can refute that, saying that no, the only brainless person from the city of Bristol, Connecticut, is the jackass wearing an Orange Cassidy T-shirt with a Norfolk Tides hat backwards, who can't get anybody's name right.
Right. Monsef, you might be right with that, saying that Brian Cage could be the new Mike Awesome, who looks really good, but not necessarily.
Wow, everybody really wants to get into this Jeff Hardy thing. I love it.
I
love it. I cannot wait because I'm going. Oh,
you know what? We are going to breeze through the rest of Dynamite and hit on the key components here
with the Jeff Hardy shit,
and we'll get into that. Cody Rhodes receives TNT title and vows to do an open challenge every week. So this, again, similar to like the TV title back in the day where the TV title was defended every week, or John Cena's open challenge from a few years ago with the U.S. title. But we ended up finding out a little bit later who his first challenger is going to be. AEW had a battle royal, and they had 10 men in this, and the man who came out on top was Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy Jack Perry will be getting the first shot against Cody Rhodes.
Good for him.
And, you know, Cody has been delivering with every match he's had, with every feud he's had. And he delivered on a great promo explaining, you know, what he wants to do with the TNT title and the plans going forward. And having Jungle Boy be the first opponent, I think, you know, it's going to be a good, fun match next week on Dynamite.
100% agree.
So, all right. So then we had Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc going against SCU, and the winner of this match was going to get a shot against Omega and Page next week on Dynamite. Now, yeah, we had the Best Friends become #1 contenders, but I'm going to guess that that's going to be your Fighter Fest. So in the meantime, they need to have some matches to fill in. So Sabian and Havoc have not been a team for very long, but they've got great chemistry. Having Penelope Ford there adds another layer of stuff here. She got a little bit involved here in this match, distracted SCU, and ends up benefiting her team and her man.
Yep.
So good on them, and I'm looking forward to see what happens next week on Dynamite in this match, because, you know, we actually saw a lot of Omega and Page working together in the match at Stadium Stampede.
Yeah.
So maybe they're on the same page. See what I did there?
Your mother would appreciate that one.
You usually
I definitely do. I had to look away and make it seem like I didn't appreciate that. By the way, I still love the fact that Jimmy Havoc's greatest performance was in the Fifth Element.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. All right. So at the end of Dynamite, we had Inner Circle out there. Inner Circle kind of vows that they are going to, you know, be back and better than ever after their defeat. But basically, Jericho ends up calling out Mike Tyson and then talks about what Tyson did to him 10 years ago. And he said on Monday night. And obviously everybody's like, oh, Monday Night Raw. And I forget exactly what the date was, but it was 2010. He's like, don't think I forgot, Tyson. And Tyson comes out. Tyson did a bad job of trying to replicate Hulk Hogan tearing off his shirt. He did not quite get the shirt torn off. But then they had a pull-apart brawl and, like, security in the ring and just a mass melee. You know, they definitely were trying to do, you know, like the Tyson and Stone Cold pull-apart brawl from before WrestleMania 14. But this still was fantastic. I mean, yeah, we're old fucks and we know about that pull-apart brawl, but not everybody in the world has seen that because that was 22 years ago. So it was a cool segment, and if we end up getting Mike Tyson versus Chris Jericho at Fyter Fest,
oh my God, yes!
At least this boxer versus wrestler, they're about the same size.
Don't turn your back on me, Creed.
Come on, Creed.
It's not gonna be like when Sylvester Stallone, aka Rocky Balboa, went up against the greatest wrestler in the history of mankind, Thunderlips. It is I, Thunderlips, in the flesh, baby. The ultimate male versus the ultimate meatball.
Or Floyd Mayweather versus the Big Show.
Please don't fucking bring up that match in my presence.
Oh, I knew you. I knew you were going to get fired up if I said that.
I can't. It's just. Ugh. Okay, moving along.
He broke the Big Show's nose.
It was still the fact that I paid for that WrestleMania is an absolute.
There was some great matches on that card.
Yes, but that match was on the card, so it was kind of like a waste of money.
Okay.
That and the fact that they paid Floyd Mayweather as much as they did to perform was just sickening.
Yeah,
$20 million.
That's how it goes. All right, so everybody wants us to talk about the Jeff Hardy storyline that they did on SmackDown. So let's get into this. They started SmackDown last night with an angle where it appeared that Elias got hit by a car, and you got the police saying that Jeff Hardy smelled like he had alcohol on him, and it was a bit of a swerve, I guess, a really big swerve for the Intercontinental title tournament. But
it was supposed to be Elias versus AJ Styles in the semifinals, and then it was supposed to be Jeff Hardy versus Daniel Bryan in the other
semifinal match. So they swerved that.
They threw. I don't even beyond the freaking curveball. They threw a wrench in the whole grand scheme of things, and they basically changed up the entire semifinals.
Now, but one thing I'm going to say about this Jeff Hardy angle. I know that we don't know the full story, and they revealed a bit more later. I know that Jeff has had his alcohol problems. We literally talked about this thing a couple weeks ago when they did the Dark Side of the Ring episode on the last ride of the Legion of Doom, how I thought it was in very poor taste for WWE to bring up Hawk's drinking and drug problem, and how it was in poor taste for WCW to do the same damn thing for Scott Hall. Now, we have not seen the end of this storyline, but the fact that WWE brought it up for this storyline that Jeff Hardy has a drinking issue, and it's been well publicized on a lot of dirt sheets. I don't know how much the mass media knows about it, but everybody in wrestling knows that when he was out for the 9 months for his knee surgery, it probably was a little bit longer than that because I think they kept him off TV even when he was healthy enough to return. But, like, he was busted for public intoxication once, and I think drunk driving once. And even before that, obviously, he had the thing at Victory Road, and I think he had a couple of other drunk driving issues along the way. We all know that he has those drunk driving issues. We all know he has substance issues. Bringing this into the storyline is just piss poor. When they did it with CM Punk years ago, like when they were between him and Jericho talking about, oh, you live a clean lifestyle, and CM Punk like going into a bar. Okay, CM Punk has never had a drinking problem. Okay, you could do that. But when you're talking about some dude who really had a drinking problem and you bring it into a storyline, like when I think Samoa Joe brought it up like as part of a promo, I'm okay with it being part of a promo, but not being part of an angle. And you know, I think in general, part of this was WWE's petty way of embarrassing Jeff Hardy a little bit. And I'm sure Jeff had to sign off on this angle. Hey, I'm okay with it.
And they kind of throw a little shade at Matt Hardy, too, because Matt Hardy's basically sitting there collecting a paycheck from Tony Khan instead of Vince McMahon.
So, I mean, there's just little pettiness like this that I just don't like about it, and I don't like them bringing up addiction issues like this as part of like a storyline if it's about that specific performer. I just don't fucking like it. Now, towards the end of the show, we had Jeff Hardy coming back to the arena after he's been arrested and charged very quickly and attacking Sheamus. I'm guessing, my guess, Sheamus like dumped alcohol on him, which is why he smelled like alcohol.
And then ran over Elias?
Possibly. It could be like that whole Rikishi storyline where he ran over Stone Cold years ago. But that would be, I guess, a reason why he would go and attack Sheamus. But I just don't like the angle. I don't like how they executed this thing. Even if at the end it was Sheamus that caused this. I don't like it.
No, and another thing I didn't like the fact, and like kind of like keeping with kayfabe, is the fact that it was a face that took out another face. The fact that Jeff Hardy ran over Elias with his car was kind of like, I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, that doesn't even make any sense. Because I was watching, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. And just trying to wrap my head around it. I'm like, why? Why are they doing this? This is fucking stupid. This is fucking stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to let you kind of just like elaborate on how you felt about this whole storyline, because A, you are the brains of the outfit, and B, you were going to paint a better picture of what that storyline was last night, whereas me, I'm just going to go, it was fucking stupid. I thought it was stupid. My brain hurt. I don't even have a brain, and it fucking hurt. And it's just, ugh.
I do like that James put, Sheamus did it for The Rock. That's what Rikishi...
Sheamus did it for the people.
I just think it's in poor taste.
Now, I could see a situation, and this is just like my tinfoil hat theory on all of this, is that the person who actually ran over Elias with the car was Cesaro.
Okay.
And Sheamus was the one that dumped all the booze on Jeff Hardy, so that we get the return of the third greatest tag team in the history of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
The Bar. Because they didn't just set the bar, they are the bar.
Yeah.
And if I got that, because right now, Sheamus not winning the Intercontinental title is fucking just...
So, one stupid thing from this angle that led to another stupid thing from this angle.
No, not in WWE. They've never done that before.
So, why, when both competitors here...
What's up, Tommy?
How you doing, Tommy?
F.M. Marks Hall of Famer, Tommy.
Why is it that the two people that were in the semifinals for the Intercontinental tournament, why did AJ Styles get a bye to the finals, but why didn't Daniel Bryan? They literally said, like, oh, well, we're going to set up a tournament match or a battle royal, and whoever wins that battle royal will go against Daniel Bryan later on tonight.
Because it was more important for us to watch Mandy Rose and Otis Dosovich
have a dream
sequence at the pool area than it was for us to watch AJ Styles fight anybody. You know, Shorty G or fucking
the Hacker.
Before we go into this, one bright spot of all this is during the Jeff Hardy getting arrested thing, guess who we got an appearance by? Jason Jordan. Yeah, Jason Jordan actually made an appearance during the whole Jeff Hardy getting running over Elias and all that stuff. He was actually helping get Jeff Hardy into the car. So I just wanted to bring that up. And everybody's like, we're going to get a American Alpha I'm like, no, you're not.
But, Chris, as much as we understand that the face has to jump through more hoops, and that's part of booking, there's also a thing called logic. And, like, as much as I understand the concept of the faces need to jump through more hoops, i.e. Kofi Kingston, you know, from last year before WrestleMania, but, like, right here, like...
Unless you're Roman Reigns. for John Cena.
I just don't quite get it. They should have both had a match.
Agreed.
But I guess if they could jump the logic.
I mean, what they could have ultimately done was just say, all right, well, Daniel Bryan is healthy and AJ Styles is healthy. Let's just have them fight for the Intercontinental title tonight. I mean, you could have had that would have worked too.
And somebody mentioned that maybe AJ Styles was the one who did it. But based off the fact of how it ended with Jeff Hardy going against taking out Sheamus, I'm pretty sure that Sheamus had everything to do with this.
See, like one of the things that I thought was stupid about this was the fact that they had a 10-man battle royal to determine who was going to be Daniel Bryan's opponent last night in the tournament. And Sheamus, who had already been eliminated from the tournament, I believe
he won.
He won the battle royal. I want to say there was somebody else.
He won the battle royal, but
and Drew Gulak, who also got eliminated, who just got re-signed this week back to WWE, was also in the battle royal, even though he lost to Daniel Bryan in the first round. We almost could have gotten Drew Gulak versus Daniel Bryan in 2 straight rounds. Why was Sheamus back in this match? Why was Sheamus in this match? That's what I want to know. The man was already eliminated. Was Nakamura in the battle royal too?
I don't remember. I
know that the healthy Uso was in there. I know your boy Dolph Ziggler was in there. I know that the GOAT Cesaro was in there. I know Shorty G was in there. But it's like, why do the losers that have already been eliminated from this tournament get a second chance?
I don't know.
It just makes no fucking sense. But then again, them actually completely blowing up and destroying this freaking tournament after the first round, it doesn't make any sense. But it's typical WWE booking. So
basically, what we ended up here with is we once again had Sheamus losing. He ends up losing later on. So basically, he gets into this tournament after being dominant since he came back, and he lost twice.
Yep.
Nakamura was there. All right, thank you, James. But there's just so much here that it's just like, I know it's wrestling, and I know sometimes like you have to sit there and throw logic out the window, just like when you're watching an action movie. Sometimes you got to throw logic out the window. That's why I enjoyed the Stadium Stampede match, because it was just a stupid action movie that I didn't need to be like going, oh, this makes 100% sense. I know that wrestling isn't always supposed to make 100% sense, but like this is one thing that you could easily have make sense and not insult our intelligence.
Here's the thing. There's times where you can actually have something in wrestling that doesn't make any sense, like a Katie Vick storyline, or having the big boss man feed a dog to the dog's owner, and have a Kennel from Hell match. I mean, there's a lot of times that it can be happening, but it's on like just a small scale. When you have basically an entire show, a SmackDown, that was an absolute abortion, that's how you treat it. It's just exactly what it was. You completely screwed up the Intercontinental Tournament. You basically, instead of and then you just give AJ Styles a bye instead of having him wrestle a match, but you let Daniel Bryan have to fight a winner of a battle royal, which consisted of a bunch of people who already got eliminated from the tournament, and the only healthy Uso who's not really a singles competitor, and Shorty G, who hasn't been on TV and God only knows how long. I don't remember.
He's not the hacker.
And I don't remember the last time I saw Shorty G.
What was it? King of the Ring tournament? After King of the Ring tournament, he was around for a few weeks.
Because Sheamus, when Sheamus returned, he was fighting Shorty G, and then that was the last time we saw Shorty G.
There we go.
But it's just, I mean, between the tournament and how they were handling that, the whole Jeff Hardy storyline with the drunk driving and running over Elias, it's like, why did he have to run over Elias? It could have been anything. He could have ran over anybody that still would have made sense. Instead, you have, now I'm starting to think that AJ Styles might actually be the guy who did it. I'll tell you who it wasn't. It wasn't Rikishi.
Right.
This time.
What if it was AJ Styles and he and Sheamus become a thing, like a faction?
That'd be stupid. The fact is, you broke up Sheamus and Cesaro because you didn't want them to be part of a tag team anymore, and then you're just going to put Sheamus in the tag team.
Well, I'm not saying a tag team; they could be part of a faction. 2-man power trip was not a tag team, more than a faction.
No, it was basically a goat and a guy who thought he was a goat in a tag team. or a faction.
Right. So anyway, we also had Mandy Rose having dreams about Otis Dosovich. For this storyline, I will let them get a little stupid.
I agree. As much as SmackDown was just terrible, I am digging this whole Mandy Rose and Otis Dosovich. Let the guy have his moment. I'm telling you right now, Mandy's going to cost him that briefcase. I can already feel it. She's going to cost him the title match once he cashes in his contract. I could just feel it.
Is she going to be like Sunny was back in the day? Because Sunny would like latch herself onto somebody. Once they won something, then then latch onto somebody else until they won. Like when she was with the LOD, then with the Godwins, then I think
Smoking Guns.
Yeah, like
she was more of a hot potato than the 24/7 title or the US title.
Yeah. Chris said during that segment he shut his TV off. Understandable. I could understand. All right. So then we had a couple other things here. We had Lacey Evans versus Sonya Deville, and both of these ladies have really kind of been building their stock lately. And WWE booking wise, I'm okay with what they did. They had a double count out, kind of a short but physical encounter, and
neither one of them looks weak from the other one, and they both kind of stay the same. And I think it's a good way for them to build this.
And just a little side note here. It's been rumored that possibly Sonya Deville is up for the role of Batwoman.
Yes, so, I heard that too.
So good for her. Yeah, Jessica, we agree. I mean, Mandy is definitely going to turn on Otis, the Dozer, sooner or later, and the poor guy's going to have his heart crushed again. It's going to be sad.
That's right. That's why he's got stakes and weights.
That's right. Then we had a Moment of Bliss talk show. And they were doing a tag team summit with the New Day and the women's tag team champions. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross.
Yes.
My brain short-circuited for a second there.
I was like, where the hell is he going with this? I'm like, I'm trying to help you.
Yeah. So tag team summit, like the New Day was absolutely unnecessary in this thing because really quickly after Sasha and Bayley came out, and you know that there was a good bit of cutting promos against each other between the four ladies here, but you know they're trying, Nikki and Alexa trying to drive a wedge between Sasha and Bayley, talking about, oh look, Sasha's the only one without a title here, and you know. More or less, we're going to eventually get a women's tag title match between the inaugural champs, Sasha and Bayley versus Nikki and Alexa here. But we ended up having an impromptu match right after this with Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks, where Sasha's like, well, I don't even have my wrestling gear. And, Playa, Teddy Long during the commercial break must have come out and made the match because like there was a little bit of a scuffle and they made the match and Sasha Banks wrestling in sneakers and yoga pants. Usually they do that for the face. Shocking that they did this for the heel. But Alexa Sasha ended up winning. Sasha won.
Yeah. My favorite part about that, I'm sorry. No, my favorite part about that was the fact that Nikki Cross and Bayley were at the broadcast, and Nikki Cross was standing on the table and yelling and cheering for freaking Alexa Bliss, and Bayley told her to stop, and she's like, you can't tell me what to do. And I'm like, yes! I love Nikki Cross. She's definitely one of my favorites.
Okay, Petey, we'll take care of you later. I'm sorry, my poor dog. Oh, he's very upset. But, so, they're setting up for a couple of different things here. We'll see where the storyline continues to take us. I don't foresee that Sasha and Bayley are going to win the women's tag titles, but it'll be another tag team to defend against, I guess.
And then it's just unfortunate because the plan was they were going to do the Sasha Bayley storyline where they were going to finally break up, but the fact that SummerSlam is now going to be at the Performance Center and not in Boston, they're going to delay that for a little bit longer. So,
yeah. So
it'll be interesting to see how they do what they're doing going forward with that. Yeah, but a good story. That was really one of the few highlights of what they were doing on SmackDown last night. So I give them that. Basically, the women's division was the only thing that looked really strong, other than Mandy Rose and the completely stupidity of the freaking. Well, not gonna get it. I'm gonna.
All right. So one thing Chris Brown just brought up, he was like, he could see what we're talking about, but then also said, as long as the Iconics end up back with the women's tag team titles. Speaking of which, the Iconics were on Raw this week, and they cut a promo on Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Yep. Really good stuff here.
That's good shit, pal.
Yeah. And the week before with the Iconics, there was a little bit of a dissension between them, and they hugged and made up, and I don't understand why they kept them off TV for so long. It was like, creative has nothing for you. Well, and there was talk of repackaging them. It's like, what they were doing before was working.
Yeah.
And you took them off TV for what? No reason.
Yeah. And it's in the old concept of if something's not broke, why are you going to fix it?
So they brought them back and they didn't fix it, but, defeats the purpose of why they took them off TV originally. But, really good stuff. And glad that they're back on TV and getting their shot. All right, so then we had Apollo Crews going against Andrade for the U.S. Championship. And shockingly here, Apollo Crews wins the U.S. title. This was a fantastic match. I have never had anything against Apollo Crews, the performer, in the ring. I've had it against his character, which has been non-existent mostly, except for when he was in Titus Worldwide. There he had a little bit of a character, but that was a lot of getting a rub from Titus and the other folks around him. But Crews has always had the goods in the ring, and
he's WWE's version of Dave Winfield.
Right.
Where has anybody actually seen Dave Winfield not smile? That's all I want to know.
Right.
But anyway, I was just as surprised as the next person that Apollo Crews ended up winning the U.S. title. But they were saying that the reason that they took him out of what the hell was it? He was in something, the Money in the Bank. He was originally in the Money in the Bank, and then he got kayfabe hurt, and they took him out of the Money in the Bank and replaced him with AJ Styles. And we were like, this is going to lead to him getting a push of some sort. And obviously, winning the United States Championship is a nice little rub and everything. So congratulations to Apollo Crews.
Yeah, when he talked about his post-match promo was like one of the first real character-building things we've seen. He's like, taken 11 years for me to get to this moment, and just kind of going on and on and on about that. It's like, good, man. It's good to finally see something beyond just the smile. Mm-hmm. So Chris brought up that the Iconics, most of the problem with them was around Christmas time. They had issues with their visas from Australia.
That makes sense.
So, all right, so that's that. But Apollo Crews is the new U.S. champ. I know that a week before we saw Drew McIntyre go against Andrade for the World Heavy or Champion versus Champion
match,
non-title match. But I'm guessing we are going to see that match again in the not so distant future. I'm not going to say near future, but it would be, again, WWE booking where the guy who has the secondary title loses, but ends up challenging for the primary title, which I don't like, and I fear we're going to get that again. But we'll see. And there's nothing wrong against having Andrade go against Drew McIntyre again. They'll have a great match.
Just like they did in NXT.
So it'll be fine, but I just don't like the idea of losing a secondary title to get to the primary title like AJ Styles did not that long ago.
Just like Roman Reigns did not too long ago, too.
So, all right.
It's like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Everything can go back to Roman Reigns.
Yeah. All right, so we had Drew McIntyre on the VIP lounge, but, the whole time the MVP was just kind of talking about, hey, I'm not going to have anybody attack you behind your back.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, it was a setup to have the Almighty come out and attack him. But McIntyre, knew it was smart enough to know that it was going to come. He ends up, Claymore kicking MVP and getting the heck out of there. And this is setting up for MVP versus Lashley.
McIntyre versus Lashley.
Or McIntyre versus Lashley at Backlash. Mm-hmm. And I'm fine with this. As I've said, I badly want to see Brock Lesnar versus Lashley at some point, and Lashley was kind of wallowing towards the bottom of the card for a while, and this hopefully will finally be him being towards the top of the card more often, which means he will hopefully get a match against Brock. Speaking of Brock, though, we haven't seen him since WrestleMania, and I know that he's in Canada and can't come into the United States. But, I mean, last I heard, and this was probably over a year ago, when Brock signed his last contract, his contract supposedly ended with this WrestleMania. So I have no idea if Brock Lesnar is even signed with WWE anymore. Now, it's not been reported anywhere that whether he is or isn't.
I will say this. There was one sign this week that Brock Lesnar is still under contract with WWE, even though they haven't really announced him signing a new contract with WWE, because of something that happened yesterday that we forgot to mention during SmackDown. Okay. So yesterday during SmackDown, Kurt Angle came out and he talked up, and they announced that the newest member of the SmackDown Live roster is going to be the Ultimate Bro himself, Matt Riddle. Bro. Matt Riddle, who's been making a lot of waves because of the fact that he's been coming out there and saying he wants to fight Brock Lesnar. He wants to have
retire Lesnar.
He's been going after Goldberg. He's been going after a lot of legends, and a lot of people are getting rubbed the wrong way because of the fact that he's going after the veterans the way he is. The fact that Matt Riddle is on SmackDown is because of the fact that Brock Lesnar told them, don't put him on Raw.
Okay.
That's the reason why Matt Riddle is on SmackDown, because they hadn't decided. They were just trying to determine between Raw and SmackDown which one he was going to go to. Which, by the way, another wrestler that is imminently going to be called up to the main roster is going to be Dominik Dijakovic, which I think is going to be a hell of a fun addition to the main roster. And my guess is Dominik Dijakovic is going to end up on Raw.
Cool.
But that would be my way of knowing that even if Brock Lesnar hasn't re-signed, that if he does, he's going back to Raw. And that it's imminent that he's going to be re-signing and coming back to WWE. So,
yeah.
I hope to God we do get Lesnar and Riddle. I would. Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
I would be more excited for that than I am for Chris Jericho and Mike Tyson at any point.
Yeah. Yeah, Mom Steph, I do believe that Matt Riddle might have a death wish.
I do, too. I don't even care. I fucking love that guy. That guy just keeps skyrocketing up my fucking favorites list.
Yeah,
he's got to be at least in my top 10 at this point, if not in my top 5. I love Matt Riddle.
Cool.
He's definitely somebody who's grown on me.
I remember when he first started, who the fuck is this guy? Why do they have so much hype for him?
Because they panned him in the crowd like they always do with the new signings with NXT, and I'm like, what the fuck is a Matt Riddle? I'm like, he looks like a guy who was on like the X Games.
Yeah.
I'm like Matt Riddle should be talking about selling freaking vapes to people, not wrestling in matches.
And then he had one of your favorite matches ever against Cassius Ohno.
He has really grasped the wrestling industry very quickly, and I'm impressed with the guy.
Okay. Then we had Angel Garza going against Captain Cupcake, and shockingly enough, he defeated Captain Cupcake.
That's because Captain Cupcake only had like 3 cupcakes instead of the usual 87 that he has before the match.
So there's that.
I don't want to talk anything about Kevin Owens.
So I know. That's why I'm staying away from that. All right, then we had Buddy Murphy and Austin Theory, a new member of the Monday Night Messiah's group, going against Aleister Black and Humberto Carrillo. We ended up having Murphy and Theory going over in this match. And at the end, Rollins ends up picking up the mic, cutting a great promo, telling Carrillo, don't make me do what I did to Rey Mysterio to you.
And later it came out that Rey Mysterio was supposed to be having a quote-unquote retirement ceremony this Monday on Raw. And a lot of people are thinking, and Seth Rollins is actually hosting it. And there's been talks that Seth Rollins is going to add another new member to his group, which is making me think that, A, the Authors of Pain are now officially out of the group because one of them they each keep getting there and everything. So, but I think this is one name that I've heard in speculation that I was like, that would be something. Because of the fact that Rollins is hosting this retirement ceremony on Monday, and that he's talking about adding another member to his group, the name that got thrown out there that I was like, this isn't terrible, is Dominic. That would be
having Dominic beat up his dad,
and then having
Dominic versus Rey Mysterio,
and Rey Mysterio putting over his son, and the go over like the wrestlers do the honors to the other wrestlers. That would be the ultimate, and that would be something that I could see Rey Mysterio doing.
Yeah.
Even though I still haven't.
Chris Brown is saying he thinks it might be Dijakovic, which that'd be great too. He could be the heavy for the group.
Yeah, that would be an interesting person for that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that at all. Yeah. So we had Nia Jax, and mind you, this was a triple threat setup from earlier. We're kind of skipping a little bit over things on Raw, but Nia Jax ended up winning a triple threat because
I don't care.
We needed to see Charlotte on Raw and NXT and everything again this week, but Jax beat Charlotte and what's her name, Natalya, in a match, and she will be facing Asuka at Backlash for the women's title. Hey, you know what? They had some pretty good matches.
I'd rather talk about Kevin Owens.
All right. That's fantastic.
How about this? I'd rather watch a Kenny Omega Kevin Owens match than have to talk about Nia Jax.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, and then the last match of the night, we had MVP and Bobby Lashley going against the Raw Tag Champions, Street Profits. This match right here was specifically to make Lashley look like a badass, and he did. He got DQ'd from, he's using the old Hercules Hernandez and Billy Jack Haynes ending move, the full Nelson, and he would not let go of the move, and the ref DQ'd them. So one of the few times where I will be like, all right, that's a good way for a tag team champion to win a match but look bad in the process.
Bobby Lashley is a badass. I'm going to say
Legit.
that right now. I was never a fan of Bobby Lashley personally, just because he had no personality during his first run with WWE. He was chiseled out of stone, and he still is, and he's a hell of a wrestler. And I love heel Bobby Lashley. I love heel Bobby Lashley a lot more than I thought I was going to. But I always remember, since you did bring up the full Nelson, back when Chris Masters was part of WWE, and he had the Master Lock Challenge. You remember the Master Lock Challenge? And he used to put everybody in if you could break the Master Lock Challenge. And who was the first person to break the Master Lock Challenge?
I can't believe I can't remember.
It was Bobby Lashley.
Okay. Good.
Because he put everybody, I don't think he could get the Master Lock on the Big Show because he was too big, or Mark Henry was one of those two that he couldn't get it on because they were too big. Yeah. But, of all the people he put it on, Bobby Lashley was the first person to actually break the Master Lock Challenge.
Okay, so adding fuel to the fire of your fandom of Nia Jax. This is what Chris Brown's saying. Nia Jax also injured Kairi Sane yet again when they taped this upcoming week's of Raw. She did a drop toe hold of Kairi Sane face first into the steel steps, cutting her forehead open.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't going to bring it up till later, possibly.
Well, we'll talk about it again next week. Unless they edit it out.
Motherfucker!
It looks like Nia Jax might be getting another Brainless award.
Actually, here's the thing. From what I've heard, because that has been coming out all week, because they actually taped Raw, and that's when it came out earlier this week, is that Nia Jax had apparently injured Kairi Sane again. And I guess what ended up happening was, it wasn't the fact that they had to come out and defend Nia Jax and said that wasn't even her fault. It was the fact that Kairi Sane took the bump a little bit worse than she should have, and that was the reason why. Because, yes, she was supposed to take the drop toe hold onto the stairs. Yes, she was supposed to collide into the stairs, but they said that the hole busting open, and they're saying that it was Kairi Sane's fault that happened. The fact that you have to still come out here each and every week and say to us that, oh, well, you know, now you're going to have to come out and defend Nia Jax for the fact that somebody got hurt. Again, she hurt the same woman like not even a month ago in the ring. I just like, at what point do you finally pull the plug on this whole Nia Jax is not a fucking wrestler experiment?
There was a woman my brother and I went to high school with. She got her license at the age of 16, and by the time she graduated from high school, she had been in 7 car accidents. None of the car accidents, according to the police, were her fault. I'm sorry, but if you get into 7 accidents in about a little over a year, maybe they're not your fault, but that means you're a piss poor driver. That, like, people, you're doing things that people aren't able to react to. If people keep on getting injured from Nia Jax, even if it's quote unquote not her fault,
people are still getting injured by Nia Jax.
They're getting injured by Nia Jax, and it also means that she's dangerous in the ring. So,
by the way, to add on to that, somebody that I am extremely close to, and somebody that you have gotten to know over the years for quite a few years, might not have had 7 accidents in the 2-year span from age of 16 to high school graduation, but we both know somebody who got into 4 accidents in the first year of having their driver's license after getting it at 16. And not only were they all that person's fault, it was 4 different vehicles that they got into the accident in.
How did that person still have a license?
Because that person has actually gotten a hell of a lot better behind the wheel since then.
Usually you get so many points and they're like, going, I'm not going to insure you anymore.
Rumor has it that the person who got into all those accidents when they took their driving test may or may not have started crying in the middle of their driving test because they stopped underneath a stoplight, red stoplight. But I don't want to speak any more about that said individual. Because
you might be dead in 45 minutes.
47 minutes. They'll be down in Virginia in 47 minutes.
Yeah, James, Nia Jax's track record with injuring people is terrible, and something should be done. Yeah, she's, you know what, Brock, I try to equate her to Brock Lesnar, wherein, like, you know, a lot of the guys who go against Brock Lesnar come out of the match and say, I can tell I've been through something, but you don't hear about people coming out of the match, like, injured for the most part. They're like going, yeah, I felt like I got beat the crap out of. But you don't hear about them being injured. They're hurt, not injured.
Well, I mean,
Nia Jax injures people.
I mean, it was the same thing with Seth Rollins for a while, because the fact that he injured Sting and fucked up Sting's neck, and the fact that he injured Finn Balor and fucked up Finn Balor's shoulder and everything. So people were saying the same thing about Seth Rollins. And what happened with Seth Rollins? He got a little bit more cautious, got a little bit better in the ring, and now nobody ever complains about what happens in the ring with Seth Rollins. The thing with Brock Lesnar in this situation is Brock Lesnar is a legitimate badass.
And a trained professional.
Yeah, and he's a trained professional. And the thing is that if Brock Lesnar wants to be stiff in the ring with you, guess what? You're gonna get stiffed in the ring by fucking Brock Lesnar.
You're not gonna get hurt.
You're not gonna get hurt. You might get busted open. Randy Orton, approved of that. John Cena approved of that. If Brock Lesnar comes up to you and says, I want to bust you open, guess what? You're telling him, yeah, okay, you got it, Brock. I ain't fucking with Brock.
But again, not getting injured. Yeah. They're taking a punishment, but they're not having to stay out of the ring for months and months and months.
You know how for the longest time I said that if I was in a dark alleyway and my 2 ways of exit, I either had to go through Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, and Freddy Krueger, or go the other way, or Brock Lesnar. I take my chances with Jason, Freddy, and Michael Myers. Flip that. If I had to choose between going through Brock Lesnar one end and wrestling Nia Jax on the other end, I'm taking my chances with Brock Lesnar. So that tells you something.
Yeah. But Nia Jax is scarier than them all. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So let's quickly go through NXT. Mm-hmm. We had Charlotte Flair on NXT because she is not seen on TV enough. And she tag teamed with Chelsea Green and went against Rhea Ripley and Io Shirai, who I believe we're going to end up getting that as a triple threat match in your house. Not Chelsea. Chelsea Green won't be involved with that, but having Chelsea Green get a rub by being a partner with Charlotte Flair.
I mean, look,
as much as she's on TV all the time, and
if there was a woman that deserves to be on TV all the time, it is Charlotte Flair, because I think that Charlotte Flair is the best woman wrestler in the entire world.
Yeah.
So, continue.
Jessica, if you want to see the Brainless One rant about Nia Jax needing to go onto our YouTube page at the FN Marks and subscribe to us. You could get to see the Brainless One go off about that over a year ago. Literally, the Brainless One says, I want you to tear both of your ACLs, in what happened a couple of months later.
She tore both of her ACLs.
So,
you're welcome, Mike Johnson.
Yeah. The greatest wrestler since the Great Khali.
Who?
Nia Jax.
I have more I can go into this, but I'm not going
to. Yes, check out our YouTube page. Make sure you subscribe to it, because we do go live there also every week. And sometimes we have other little things we put there. Anyway, so Charlotte Flair and Chelsea Green go over on Ripley and Io Shirai.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, good on Chelsea Green to get the rub.
Yes, agreed.
So, and it has been made official. Adam Cole, baby, will be going against the Velveteen Dream in a rematch at In Your House.
And we are celebrating the 1-year reign of NXT champion Adam Cole, baby! So congratulations on Adam Cole for being champion for a year. I think he is the biggest star in NXT, and I'm not even...
by a long shot.
It's not even fucking close.
As much as I like other performers, like on the same level as him, Adam Cole is the man.
I'm sorry. There's nobody else in NXT I love more than Adam Cole.
Yeah?
That's because they moved.
Except for Pete Dunne.
Well, Pete Dunne really hasn't been on. So
well, it's not his fault.
Yeah, I know it's not his fault.
Unless they can sit there and create a train that goes underneath the Atlantic Ocean. But then we had Tommaso Ciampa beating Leon Ruff. Leon had a rough night at the office. See what I did there? It's so good.
That's terrible.
I know it is. But he beat him in short order. But this was just to, add a little bit more fuel to the fire for the match that is going to happen In Your House against Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross came out, cut a promo, and I'm looking forward to see these two guys in the ring.
Karrion Kross, who might now have the greatest entrance of all time.
You think so? Greater than The Undertaker?
It's fucking badass. I will say this about WWE. WWE does a wonderful job with dark entrances. Whether it's The Undertaker or Bray Wyatt or Aleister Black or Karrion Kross, they're all fantastic.
All right, so Monsef is saying he wants the Dream to win. We'll see if that happens. Maybe WWE has concluded their little investigation into what may or may not have happened with the Velveteen Dream. The fact that he's getting another title shot at least tells me that they feel pretty good that he's clear of whatever.
Right.
So, and then we had what apparently is the, I think the last match of Matt Riddle's career in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
He had a
steel cage match against Timothy Thatcher with the GOAT, Kurt Angle,
as the referee, and I think they called it like a pit match or something along those lines. It's like a steel cage match. But
come to find out that both Timothy Thatcher and Matt Riddle in their time in Evolve actually had a rivalry of this sort, and they actually had a tremendous match the last time they wrestled in there. So the fact that they got a chance to have another showing like this is just incredible. I think that Timothy Thatcher is going to be a force to reckon with in WWE.
Well, that's why they put him in there with Riddle so quickly, and they had him in a this feud with Riddle. They have big plans for him, and they think the sky's the limit.
And I'm telling you right now that Thatcher's done with frickin' Riddle and Riddle's off to frickin' SmackDown, this would really set up good for a Pete Dunne, Timothy Thatcher rivalry, considering, Pete Dunne was half of the NXT Tag Team Champions and wasn't part of the reason why they lost the title. So
sure. But Thatcher goes over here and, basically he you got Riddle doing the honors as he's on his way out. Good for him. All right. So we got a couple of questions in here that I think we should get to. Ember Moon has not been seen on WWE TV for a little while.
She has a torn Achilles.
And, you know, when it comes to torn Achilles, like, nobody ever comes back quite the same. Nope. You know, you run a little bit slower, and, you know, Edge came back from a torn Achilles. I know there's been basketball players who came back from torn Achilles.
Gabe Kapler.
Right.
The goat of the Red Sox.
But there are a lot of reports out there that more or less are saying that Ember Moon may be done and that the injury is the reason. You know, I think there's different levels of severity for an injury like this, and apparently she has a very severe version of the torn Achilles, and that sucks. I mean, I had high hopes when she went to the main roster. I thought her character was a bit different, and
hell of a performer in the ring too.
In her, I love is it called the Eclipse?
Yeah.
I love her ending move. I mean, it's a Stone Cold Stunner from the top rope. It looks so badass.
Yeah.
And she just never got a chance to shine on the main roster as much as she could have. She wasn't up there super, super long, but we never got to see Ember Moon like we did in NXT.
Yep. Her
matches with Asuka were awesome.
Yes, they were.
But if it's the end of her career, this just sucks. But, you know, I'm sure she will end up on her feet. I'm sure she'll end up probably a coach in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she was really good in the ring. She could end up coaching for Booker T, who was the one who coached her down in Houston at him and his brother's wrestling school.
Yep.
But I sure hope it's not the end of the road for Ember.
Mm-hmm.
I hope she's able to come back from this. So...
well, only time will tell. And it's like you said, with the Achilles injury, you never know how long it could be, and you're definitely never going to be the same player after that.
I mean, and I know I joke around about how terrible Edge's spear is. That, in part, is why Edge cannot run as fast to make the spear look as devastating, but it was his ending move, so
yeah.
it had been established as his ending move, so you keep with it, I guess.
Even though his spear to Elias at SummerSlam last year was fucking amazing.
It was pretty good.
That was his best spear. Well, second best. His one against Jeff Hardy in the TLC 2 at WrestleMania 17 was the greatest spear I've ever seen in my entire life.
Right.
And then Goldberg hit Dolph Ziggler.
Goldberg hitting Ziggler. Goldberg, when I think it was to Jericho through the Elimination Chamber.
Mm-hmm.
That was, yeah. He looked like he cut him in half.
I'm gonna have to agree, even though I don't know if I've seen it because that was around the time I stopped. I missed all of Goldberg's run in WWE.
Right. But anyway, so we covered just about everything here, but we have to do our good, bad, and brainless.
One more note, though, before we go into the good, bad, and brainless.
Oh, yeah.
We have the finals have been determined for the Cruiserweight Championship, and the little engine that could, Drake Maverick, somehow, some way, snuck his way into the finals for the Cruiserweight Championship. And he'll be going up against El Fantasmo, San Francisco, something. So
my guess is the fact that Drake Maverick is in the finals is he is re-signed, and they haven't told anybody yet. And I have the sneaking suspicion that he is going to win the title.
Oh, me too.
And you know what? Good for him. He was a guy who is one of the greatest talkers, has some of the most passion you'll see in a professional wrestler out there. His matches with EC3 and TNA are still something like where I'm like, he's a small dude. He's slightly bigger than Marco Stunt, but he goes out there and he's a hell of a character and he's a hell of a hand in the ring. So, you know what?
He helped build the 24/7 championship. Without him and R-Truth, the 24/7 title would have fell flat.
Yeah.
I will stand by that for as long as I have to.
All right, and also that's true. One thing that has happened this week, apparently, and has been mentioned, Samoa Joe is now the permanent replacement for Jerry Lawler on Monday Night Raw. I know when they brought Lawler back, Lawler was brought back for a non-permanent position. They're like going, it could be a year, it could be 2 years, it could be 3 months. We don't know. But apparently they like what Joe's doing, and apparently Joe is still not medically cleared from the concussion he got.
During a commercial.
Who knows what the commercial was, but apparently it was pretty brutal. So, so Samoa Joe on the commentary team, and he's been great. So
he's a better version of Taz on the broadcast team. That's not saying
that's right, JR.
I mean, I could turn around and talk out of my ass and just fart for 2 hours and be better than Taz on the fucking commentary team. But that's just my opinion.
So, James, as far as Drake Maverick, when they did all those cuts a couple of months ago, that they put him, they announced his name as part of the cuts. Mm. So as much as he wasn't put to the alumni section, originally the idea was he was just going to finish off his dates in the cruiserweight, interim cruiserweight championship tournament, and that was going to be the end of him. But after he posted his video about his release, he got an awful lot of support behind him, and that led WWE to, I think, reach out.
There was not a wrestler in that locker room who didn't say a good thing about Drake Maverick. And they said that he was a very hardworking person. He was very easy to work with, got along with everybody, one of the nicest guys. Everybody gave a glowing endorsement to him. And I think WWE came to realize that they might have fucked up on that one. Kind of like what they did with Daniel Bryan 10 years ago when they cut Daniel Bryan after the Nexus invaded on Monday Night Raw, and he choked out Justin Roberts with his tie, and they were like, oh, that's too close to Chris Benoit, so Daniel Bryan, you're fired. And then bring him back, and look at this, 10 years later, Daniel Bryan is now the GOAT of WWE over the last 10 years, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Munsef agreeing with you, Joe is the new Taz. All right. Well, I guess we will do good, bad, and brainless.
Yes, we will. What's your good for this week?
I'm going with Double or Nothing. The pay-per-view as a whole, it was outstanding. There was not a match where I'm going, oh, this crap. Unlike most WWE pay-per-views where there's a couple matches where you're just disappointed. And this was a stellar freaking show. I wish there was a crowd there. I love the fact that in the Stadium Stampede match, they had the "This is awesome" chants and little things like that, and the cheerleaders, and they did things to add. You didn't need a ton of fans, but they added a little bit of ambience, and it just made it a great show, a fun show, and a lot of surprises in my view. So I love Double or Nothing.
I'm going to go with the ladder match from Double or Nothing.
Okay.
I was actually going to give it to the whole show, but you actually just took my good away from me. So I'm just going to pick up a certain part of it that I enjoyed. The ladder match, just because of the fact that they swerved everybody. Everybody really thought that it was going to be a former WWE superstar who got released recently that was going to come in there and replace and be the to be determined in there, and they gave us Brian Cage. It was with Brian Cage being in there, him winning the match. I had no problem with that happening. Orange Cassidy, freaking fuck, what is it? Skateboarder.
Darby Allin.
Darby Allin, thank you. I don't know why I'm having a brain fart. But Darby Allin's performance in that match, I was just thoroughly entertained with the ladder match. So that gets my good for this week.
Boom. My bad for this week. I'm going to commentary for specifically the Stadium Stampede match, and I'm specifically looking at you, Excalibur. You suck. You suck. You would be my brainless this week if it weren't for SmackDown.
My bad for this week, I am going to give to the actual tournament for the Intercontinental Championship because of the fact that you had 2 semifinal matches set up, and for whatever reason, you felt the need to completely obliterate both of them. And what you did was you moved one guy to have a bye to make it to the finals, and the other guy had to fight somebody who won a 10-man battle royal earlier in the night, consisting of guys who weren't in the tournament and guys who were eliminated in the first round, which made no sense. So that is my bad for this week, just the way that they booked the Intercontinental title tournament. Because you know what's going to make it even better is when Sami Zayn does come back, he's going to feud with whoever the Intercontinental Champion is. And by the way, they now have to put that title on AJ Styles. Because if they don't, Daniel Bryan in a couple of weeks winning the Intercontinental title, no disrespect to Daniel Bryan, but Daniel Bryan winning the Intercontinental title in 2 weeks would be a brainless the following day.
All right, so Chris is asking, out of curiosity, I missed it during SmackDown. Did they mention a single word about what would finally be going to Raw for AJ Styles?
They said it was future considerations, and they haven't announced it. So I believe it might not happen anytime like in the immediate future, but I think sometime down the road we're going to be like, oh, this is what Raw gets in return for AJ Styles moving to SmackDown.
Right. Maybe they'll send the Hacker over.
I mean, now that the Hacker is starting to invade more of Raw of late, and instead of just being strictly on SmackDown, that just throws a wicked curveball.
Yeah, but all right. My brain was for this week, and if you watched when we started talking about SmackDown, you'll know what I'm going here. I'm going with the whole Jeff Hardy drunk angle. As much as I'm sure that they're going to say, well, it wasn't Jeff Hardy drunk. Sheamus poured a bottle of booze on him, and it's just in poor taste. If you want to know why your audience is leaving you, Vince McMahon, it's bullshit like this. I hate when they do storylines like this. I know that when you do stuff that's kind of closer to home and a little bit more reality-based, it helps draw people in to an extent. But no, it's not something like this.
Another thing I wanted to add to this, because it is my brainless too. I'm sorry. I like to have a differentiating opinion on like any of my good, bad, and brainless of Jay's, but this one was just too goddamn brainless for me to find something else.
Yeah.
And both Reby Hardy and Matt Hardy were tweeting about it last night, and Matt Hardy's tweet said, I am glad that I work for AEW and wrestle on Dynamite on Wednesdays and work for Tony Khan. And Reby Hardy was like, I'm ready to throw my TV out the window because of what was happening. So you could tell that it was that fucking stupid. So, yeah, I'm adding on to that.
All right, so a couple of things. Iron Sheik, please, for going to Raw. That would be great.
I would love that.
And Chris Brown saying he thinks they should send the Forgotten Sons so Rollins could get a legit tag team added to the faction. As long as what you're saying or what we believe about the Authors of Pain, just getting injured too much and not being able to perform. Or Scott Steiner. I want to see Scott Steiner on an AEW pay-per-view with a hot microphone. That way he could say whatever the heck he wants.
Right.
Maybe he can do another math problem. If he goes into AEW as the professor, I would love it.
What if he comes in as Mary Ann?
You know what? That brings up another thing I did not love about the commentary on Double or Nothing. Shivani and Jim Ross kept on bringing up either TV show references or music references from like the 70s and 80s. And like they even started making fun of each other. Like, oh, people aren't even going to know that. And then like Shivani's like going, well, I remember it. It's like, dude, if you want to keep on making it completely apparent that you're super old, keep talking like that. It was not their best night. Like they had some great moments, but like when they kept on having the super, super old references, I was like, please stop. Please stop. I mean, I'll reference Clash of the Champions 13 until I'm dead, but I'm not going to sit there and go Clash of the Champions 13, December to Dismember, to WrestleMania 11, to WrestleMania. Like, I'm not going to like do it and keep on going back to it over and over again.
Right.
But like that's what they did. They just, I was like, oh, terrible.
Beating a dead horse.
Yeah.
But anyway, so if you are a first-time watcher or if you're somebody who has been tuning in on a weekly basis, make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Periscope, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube at the letter T, the letter H, the letter E, the letter F, the letter N, M-A-R-K-S, the F and Marks. If you like, follow, and subscribe to us, we will do the same back. It's always been our mantra. And also, make sure you tune into the Wrestle Marks page on Facebook.com/WrestleMarks, and set up notifications so that when we do go live, you get that notification to let you know that we are going live.
Yeah.
I think that touches it based on everything.
Wait. There's one more thing.
Is it because on today, May 30th of 2020, an incredible 1,759 days F. Marks Hall of Famer, and still alive in the 2015 Royal Rumble. Yeah! We couldn't even have scripted that better. Anyway,
thanks for tuning in, everybody.
To episode 177 of the F. Marks podcast.
I'm Jay.
I am the breakfast one. Make sure you mark out
with your clock out.
Yeah!
See you, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in.
We'll see you next week.
Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Unless it's Sunday.